How's it going, everyone? Justin here with MyManJustin's Collectible Emporium, and I'm your man for Pokemon cards, card analysis, and Pokemon investment consulting. Today, I'm just doing a video on some market analysis I did using the eBay Terapeak research on various Charizard cards from the Wizards of the Coast era and the EX era. We're going to go over Gold Star Charizard, Blaines Charizard, Dark Charizard, base set Charizard, things like that. So basically what I did is I went through and did analysis of their sales over the past year, and then I looked at their sales in the past 30 days, and then from a 30-day period from a year ago from today, so August to September of 2019, that 30-day period. So I'll just give you some kind of analysis and some insight I gained through doing this analysis. So the first card I looked at was the Charizard from EX Dragon, the secret rare Charizard, number 100 out of 97. And in the past year, there was 194 total sold with 140 sellers. So in the past 30 days, there was 20 sold and 20 sellers, 1-to-1 ratio. And the average selling price was $184. Now, I went through the past 30 days and looked at selling prices for various conditions and PSA grades, and I found there wasn't a lot of PSA graded cards of this card, mostly raw cards. And I noticed some of the cards, some cards are almost exclusively PSA graded and others are mostly raw. This is one of the raw cards, and what that means is this is a potential card to look for in a raw grade to get graded as a potential investment. Now, the near mint to mint variations of this card, the EX Dragon Secret Rare Charizard, went for around $200. Just most recently on August 5th, we had one sell for $224, and that was an auction format. A light play one went for $113 on August 16th, and that was also an auction. Now, the PSA 8 variation went for $275 on a fixed price. So it's up for debate whether it could have gone for more if he would have let it go, or he or she would have let it go on an auction style, because as we see here, the near mint went for $224. So that's kind of a risk, because if you get a card raw and it's mint to near mint and it gets the PSA 8 and you pay $224 for it, you're really not going to make any profit at selling it at $275, because with eBay's 10% final value fee plus the grading fees, I mean, you're actually going to be losing money at that kind of price. So if you would want, now, and like I said though, it might have gone for more if it was an auction format. So that's the kind of, so this is the kind of card that you're really going to want to make sure it's going to grade at least that PSA 9, and I would say it'd be best to let it go in an auction format and let the bidders decide the value of it. Or just simply set it at a higher price and try to set the market value yourself and go that way. Some other light played, so we had $149, $113. A played version of it went for $54 on July 24th on a fixed price listing. And now when I went back to August to September of 2019, about a year ago from today, over a month period, there was also 20 sold with 17 sellers. So similar amount being sold from a year ago to today, but the price is much less. The average was about $60 for a mint to near mint card. So we've seen a really big, fairly big price increase, not as big as some of the other cards. So that could indicate that this card isn't fully realized yet. The artwork on this card is a little, some people like it, some people don't. So it hasn't become as popular due to the artwork being very different. It's a very different style of artwork than any other Charizard, really. And some like it, some don't. Some of them went for really cheap. A high played version went for $5.50 on an auction. And two PSA 10s sold last year, and this is a good example because I didn't mention the PSA 10 that sold this last month. A year ago today, PSA 10s sold for $360 and $370 at fixed price listings. This month, a PSA 10 sold for $880. So that's a pretty drastic increase in value from $360 to $880. I think even $880 is fairly undervalued for a card from an EX era in PSA 10 grade and a secret rare and a Charizard. So I think this is a good possible card for investment. This is the kind of card you want to look out for. They're still mostly raw, which means that you can potentially find that PSA 9 or 10 on eBay and get it graded and have it graded yourself. So it's a good card to keep on your radar, look out for, and see if you can get it in a good grade, or even in a lower grade. If you can get a near mint to excellent card for under $100, it would be a good investment as well. So that is the Charizard from EX Dragon, the secret rare. The next card I looked at was the secret rare Charizard from Diamond and Pearl Stormfront. So this is a little bit newer of a card, and in the past year there was 215 sold and 165 sellers, so a little bit more of them sold than the EX Dragon, not much though. And in the past 30 days there was 24 sold, 24 sellers, also very similar to the EX Dragon. And a PSA 8 version of this card, so this card seems to be a little bit more valuable than the EX Dragon, and I would say it's probably due to the artwork again, because this artwork, it's very cool. They essentially remastered the original base set Charizard artwork and released a secret rare in Stormfront, so that was very cool. The PSA 8 on August 2nd went on a fixed price listing for $245. So a near mint went for more than that at $272 on an auction. A couple light plays went for $91 and $150. A PSA 9 went for $250. So that was an auction. So that pretty much snuck by, because just after that, an 8 went for $5 less than it. So a PSA 9 for $250 was a great deal. Whoever that was that got that card at a great deal. It just kind of snuck by, because another PSA 9 sold for $425 3 days later on July 26th. So again, this was a card that had a lot of raw versions of the card, so it's another card I would say to look out for. Keep it on your radar, because it's a potential card you want to get to invest in to get graded if it's in good enough condition. Now, when I went back a year ago in August to September of 2019, they were much less expensive. A PSA 9 went for $107. So again, drastic price increases from $107 to this month $425. That's like a little over a 400% price increase in the period of a year. So the market is very healthy right now, and it's likely due to a lot of people getting into it and finding a passion for this hobby. It really is a great hobby. It's also a great way to invest, and it's just an all-around good deal we got going here. Now, a near mint of this card a year ago also went for $19.20, and a played version went for actually a little more. A PSA 8 only went for $58. So that just goes to show you, this is just an example. The past prices a year ago are just a way to illustrate how much growth we've seen in the market on potential cards, especially the older cards, especially Charizards. But this is a trend that we've actually seen with most of the Wizards of the Coast and EX era cards. And other cards as well, Diamond and Pearl, Platinum cards, also have gone up, just not as much as some of the more vintage cards. Now, the next card I looked at was the Crystal Charizard from Skyridge. Now, one thing I'll note about this one is that this is a card to look out for if it's raw, because the issue with this one I found out is that since it's such a popular card and valuable card and sought after card, there are a lot of proxies being sold, a lot of replicas being sold. And there's also people selling those metal ones, which I actually don't mind when people create different styles of artwork that don't necessarily look just like the real one, because then it's a separate piece of art. That's cool. When people start making these proxies and replicas, it just can cause issues for the market, because people can try to pass them off as real ones later on. So that's one thing I would caution everyone to notice, that there are a lot of proxy Crystal Charizards going around. Another thing I noticed was that the regular holo version of this card, because it comes in a reverse holo and regular holo version, the regular holos are extremely rare. I would say at least 90% of the cards sold were the reverse holo versions of the card. So the regular holo is going to be, it's a very scarce card, which means it's going to be hot. There's going to be a premium on it. So in the past year, there was only 180 sold and 77 sellers. In the past month, there was 32 sold with 10 sellers. And the reason there's that disparity with the last month and the year is that individual people sell multiple of the proxy cards. Now with this card, unlike the past two, the majority of the ones being sold are already PSA graded. So I noticed a few, so some PSA 9s sold just recently on July 23rd. A PSA 9 regular holo, and there was not many of these regular holos, sold for $3,899. Just to give you a quick contrast of a year ago, there wasn't any, actually I'm not able to contrast that, but I'll contrast a reverse holo. A PSA 9 reverse holo a year ago sold for $600 on a fixed price, and a PSA 9 just this past month sold for $1,028. So just about a double the price increase on that one. So there wasn't as big of a jump with the Crystal Charizard. So what that means to me is that the Crystal Charizards, as of a year ago, were already kind of a realized really hot card, and now they're having a more steady incline. And I think that's what the point, what we want to try to do, is find cards that haven't gotten to that peak yet and max price, and own it so a year before it does go up in that massive price increase. Because with the Crystal Charizards, everyone knows about this card, everyone wants this card, and it's been realized in price. It'll still probably go up, it just won't be as drastic as, say, some of the last two that I mentioned. So a reverse holo played, went on an auction, sold for $295. So the near mint reverse holos went for about $700 to $800. So and that was a pretty normal price, I would say, for a raw near mint reverse holo of the Crystal Charizard. You're going to pay anywhere from $700 to $800. A PSA 3 regular holo went for $767. So this is the kind of card that if you can get raw, even in, say, PSA 3 condition, it still could be a potentially good investment, because this is the kind of card that people are still looking for. Even in a PSA 1, if you found it raw and could get it in a PSA 1, depending on the price you got it at, it could still be a potential good investment, because it would still sell relatively quickly. There's still going to be buyers looking for the PSA 1 even of this card, because it's so hot. So a PSA 10 a year ago, reverse holo, went for $1,000. So today, no PSA 10s have sold this last month, but I would imagine a PSA 10 would be somewhere at least around $10,000. So that's about 1,000% price increase over the past year on this card. And the PSA 10s, they're going to have a bit more drastic of a price increase, because they get more scarce as time goes on, because less people sell them and so forth. Now, the next card that I looked at was the EX Dragon Frontier's Gold Star Charizard, which I have one of those myself in PSA 4. This card had 434 sold in the past year with 254 sellers. So this card is a bit less scarce than the prior ones, and there's a lot more people selling them. They're more available, and that is going to drive the price down a bit. In the past month, there was 29 sold, 24 sellers, and this card was almost exclusively PSA graded cards. Hardly any raw ones left. I managed to get mine raw, but a PSA 7 went for auction at $880, a PSA 4 $600, a PSA 9 $2,325, PSA 1 even went for $380, and a PSA 10 I think this went undervalued for sure. It went for auction on August 13th for $1,475. I think that was dramatically undervalued. That person got a very good price. I think that would this card today, I think you could probably get 3,000 at least. You can probably get double that price for it in a PSA 10. A year ago, there was 33 sold, 25 sellers, so similar amount being sold. The PSA 7, in contrast to the 880, sold for $450, so it went about double the price in the past year. The PSA 9 went for $725 versus the $2325, so that went quite a bit more. And the near mint excellence raws went for about $350, $340, $385, and $315. So this is another card that has pretty much been realized. It's already got its spike in price, and it's not the kind of card for speculative short-term investors. It's already been realized. They've been graded. It's going to be a lot harder to get that really great deal on this card. At this point now, it's just for collectors that just want to have it in their collection, and you got to pay the premium where it's already graded and already been realized in price. So, and this is another card. There was a lot of replicas, so it's another card that you kind of even want to get graded because it's certified and there's a lot of proxies going around. Now the next card I looked at was the Charizard from the base set, and this card was a little harder to get a general idea of because there's 3 different main variations of it. There's actually 4 really, but there's the Shadowless First Edition, and the Unlimited. And this card, PSA 9, in the past 30 days, just Shadowless went for $4,700. That's not a first edition. A first edition BGS 9.5 went for $14,000. Okay, and in contrast to a year ago, a PSA 9 first edition went for $3,500. So the PSA 9, it would be comparable to the BGS 9.5, and we have from $3,500 a year ago to $14,000 today. These are still climbing in price at a very steep incline. So I wouldn't even know how to foresee these yet. I think these are still the kind of card that you got to just keep on your radar and expect to go up. And I couldn't anticipate how much they will continue to go up, but I don't think this card has seen the end of its price increase. This is this is obviously the holy grail of Pokemon cards, the Charizard from the base set, especially the Shadowless and the first edition. So this is a card to just watch out for. Just keep your eye on. In the past 30 days, 131 sold, 42 sellers. Again, there's a lot of proxies with this one. This is one you got to watch out for when buying raw. But the PSA 8 first edition went for $8,500 on a fixed price listing. Another PSA 8 went, so yeah. And just a year ago, one went for $2,900. So it's just, in just a period of a year, it's just skyrocketed in price. The next card I looked at was the Dark Charizard from the Team Rocket set. And the past the past year, there's 1,718 of these sold. Already we can see that this is a card that is much less scarce, and that is going to drive the price down because it's just, there's a lot more out in the market, it's being traded more often, and this drops the price down. The past month alone, there was 235 sold, and so I mean, with the Stormfront and the EX Dragon, that's how much were sold in like the whole year, right? So those are the kind of cards you want to keep an eye on. They're not being graded yet. They're scarce. So, but the Dark Charizard, so mine, I just sold one, a raw near mint unlimited, went for $148 on an auction. A first edition near mint this past month went for $275 on a fixed price listing. A PSA 9 first edition went for $749. So they still command a fairly respectable price for the higher grade, especially first editions, but much more affordable than some of the other cards. And a year ago, the PSA 9 Unlimited went for $84. So this is a card that's still, even though it's less scarce, it's still seen a fairly big price increase from $84 to $749. That's huge. I mean, that might even be, that's one of the bigger prices increases, and it's on one of the one of the less scarce cards. A near mint first edition raw went for 119 on a fixed. A PSA 9 unlimited went for 75 fixed, and these are all a year ago. So this is a card to keep an eye out for. There was a fairly good amount of raw and graded version of this card. It's being traded very often. It's still possible to get a good price on a near mint or better card. Now, the last card I looked at was the Blaines Charizard from the Gym Challenge set. And in the past year, and by the way, with this one, there was hardly any fakes, proxies. Same with the Dark Charizard, so that's a good thing. It's not as desirable, so people don't have as much of an incentive to make the proxy cards. The past year has been 872 sold, a little less than the Dark Charizard, a lot more than the rest, and 655 sellers. In the past month, there was 94 sold with 89 sellers. And a light play unlimited in this card went for 71 on an auction. A PSA 8 unlimited went for 400, and there was a PSA 9 first edition that went for 1,200 fixed. So I think that probably could have gone a little higher on an auction. They might have sold themselves short a little bit, but we've seen there's a lot of raws. Near mint mints unlimited went for 365. A first edition went for 800 in near mint to mint, both this last month. So this is a card that there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of ungraded ones, and they are still fairly high priced, and they've gone up a lot in the past year. This one, very dramatic increase in price. A BGS 9.5 first edition went for $499 on a fixed price. A near mint first edition raw went for $249. The average, there was only 48 sold. So there's much more of these being sold now. There was 48 sold a year ago in that month, and there was 94 sold in this past month. The near mint unlimiteds went for about $50 to $80, and now they're around $120. So not too big of a price increase on the Blaines Charizard. And the Blaines Charizard has a really nice artwork. That's actually one of my more favorite Wizards of the Coast era artworks. I think it does a good job of just showcasing the whole Charizard. It's head on to him. It shows his wings kind of spread out. It's got a full body kind of picture of it. The Dark Charizard, he was like from behind, so I wasn't as fond of that artwork as I am with the Blaines Charizard. With the Blaines Charizard, he's blowing fire. So it's a really nice artwork on that card. So that's just another card that it still might not be completely realized, I would say, and there are plenty of raw cards to find still, although they are starting to get up there in price, but there's still a lot being sold. So this is the kind of card, if you keep your eye on, you could find that really good deal that will sneak by. So that is it for now. I hope you enjoyed that and got some good information for your own collecting and investing. I think the takeaway for this would be that the Stormfront and EX Dragon Charizards are fairly scarce cards. We've seen about around 200 of them sold in the last year, which is not that many. About 20 sold a month, and not a lot are graded, and they are still relatively low price. I think this is the kind of card that in a year we'll see these kind of crazy increases on price on. So it's a card to keep on your radar, I would say. The Crystal Charizards are really high and kind of maxed out in price, but it's a kind of the card like the base set Charizard that there's no telling. It could still even continue to skyrocket in price just because it's so sought after. The Gold Star Charizards are interestingly less scarce than you might think. They're having 434 sold in the last year. The prices on them, there are a lot of these graded. You got to watch out for proxies. This might be the kind of card you got to just accept in a graded form and hope you can get a good return on your investment in a long period of time buying it graded. The base set Charizard, same thing like I said with the Crystal Charizards. And the Dark Charizard and the Blaines Charizard are cards that there's a lot of them being sold. There's a lot of rares. It's still kind of an open market. still kind of wild westy up in there. You can look around and keep your eyes on it and get potential good deals and get them graded. There's still a lot of ungraded cards, and there's just a high volume of them being traded in the market. So I hope you enjoyed that and got some good information, and I will see you on the next broadcast. Thank you.